I'm joined with manager Ian Herring after that close and tense 2-1 defeat to Oxford City. How are you feeling after that?
Hacked off, to say the least. 5 in a row. I think that is now beat. So we've got to address it quick. People go around saying Happy New Year, new start, and all this sort of stuff. But let's be honest, it's the same stuff served up again, and it's unacceptable today.
Do you feel there's a certain reason for why results aren't coming? Because to me, and I think a lot of the fans, the performances for at least 50% of the game have been really, really good of recent.
I don't know. I'll always look at myself, look at what I can do better, and I'll always take responsibility and take the blame myself, because for whatever's happening, whatever I'm doing, I'm not getting a tune out of these players at this moment in time. You say 50% of the time the performances have been there. Our performance needs to be there 100% of the time in each and every game, and I think today epitomises that in the second half, where you switch off for 1 minute and teams punish you at this level. Unfortunately, when we get our chances, we don't punish teams, but when teams get their chances against us, they punish us. So that's got to stop.
Obviously, you mentioned it, we have lots of chances. I saw probably around 10 to 15 chances where I felt personally that we should have scored. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, definitely. It's not rocket science, is it? Football. Let's be honest. Goals win football matches, and we're conceding too many and not scoring enough. We sort of touched on all season about in the fight we're good up until the final third, and then in the final third the execution or the decision making, etc. But yeah, today I just think it's a lack of quality, and again that's got to change, and change quick.
We spoke to Joe Tomlinson just then about the last 20 minutes, as I know a lot of fans were a bit confused as to why we were sort of trying to, well, his words were we were trying to pass it into the goal rather than take our chances and take some shots. When you're losing a game 2-1 and you enter sort of like, I think it was 5-6 minutes at a time, you enter those last 10-15 minutes, do you feel that it should be all out, or do you feel that we were putting in enough effort going into those last 10 minutes?
Effort's a tough one, isn't it? Because I think the lads put the effort in. Whether that's in the sort of wrong way, I don't know. I'll look at it back. We've done a lot of work this week. I'm a glass half full type of person, and I'll always believe in myself, my ability, and the players and their ability. And we've done work this week. So before today, after 23 games last season, I think we had 16 points. This season we had 17 points. So we're 1 point better off before today. We've done a lot of work on being proud of what you do, and away from football, home, different people are proud of different things, and we've done work on that. But essentially, we've got to have pride in our own individual performance, but also a collective performance, and essentially be proud to play for Hungerford Town. I've been at this club for a long time, and I'd say I know this club inside out, and more of those players have got to show more pride to play for Hungerford Town. I think it boils down to that a little bit. But what you've touched on towards the end of the game, in the sense of we worked on Monday, and we worked on a different. Everyone knows I like teams to pass the ball. Other teams know that now, and other teams are setting up for that sort of thing. So we've done work on playing a different sort of way. And I couldn't get my head around certain things happening in the second half, especially when their keeper was injured as well. And I've asked players to put the ball in behind, and our runners to run onto it and stuff, and then we're still trying to pass the ball into feet on the edge of the box, or not so much on the edge of the box, higher up. So yeah, there's a lot for me to think about, a lot for me to question. I'm emotional, I'm hurt, I'm quite frankly upset, because it's not in my nature to keep getting beat like this week in, week out, and I'll do everything I can to stop it.
Obviously, you say you'll do everything you can to stop it. Next weekend, well, this Saturday coming up, we travel to St Albans away, which will obviously be a difficult game. What are you thinking pre-match before that?
we need to stop the rot, don't we? Let's be honest. We're at the foot of the table, lost 5 in a row. So if someone give me a point now, I'd bite their hand off. So I'll speak to Jan, I'll speak to Hobbo before Saturday, and we're obviously what St Albans watch this game back and try and come up with a plan how to essentially get a point first and foremost, but hopefully try and build on that and take all 3.
Obviously, you mentioned before that your sides are known for passing the ball, and over the last few games have been rather attacking from the out. You say we're going to go there and try and get a point foremost. Does that mean you'll change the way you look at the game tactically, or do you think you'll set up to defend? How are you feeling that way?
We'll see. Obviously, conditions sometimes dictate, and unfortunately, like I say, we haven't been training a great deal because of the pitch. The surface isn't conducive to passable, and when teams are sort of allowing you to have it in quite deep areas, which we've been doing, and then sort of pressing on a trigger, you have to sort of bypass that press and change the way you're playing, so to speak. But hey, systems, patterns of play, stuff like that, for me, that goes out the window now. We're at the foot of the table, lost 5 in a row. I'm interested in who's going to fight for the club, essentially. That's what it's all about, and I expect that at least from the 11 that pull on the shirts to start on Saturday.
There have been quite a few changes in your starting 11 over the last few games. You touched on the fact that if people aren't here to play for Hungerford Town and be proud to play for Hungerford Town, do you think that they don't deserve to play for Hungerford if they're not going to show the passion, and will you just pull them out of the team if they're not putting in the effort?
It's hard, isn't it? Again, you touch on effort. I think the effort's there. I think it is sometimes sort of done in the wrong way, etc. Essentially, the team has changed a lot because we haven't been getting the results, and I'm a firm believer in if it isn't broke, don't fix it. We've got a big squad. A lot of them are on contracts, which is my decision, and maybe that's something that I need to look at. But yeah, essentially, I've made one change today because I thought we'd done ever so well against Havant. And I think we started well. There's 2 goals that were extremely good from them, but we've won the second half. So I thought we'd done extremely good against them. So I kept the same team apart from one change that was for injury today. And then let's be honest, whoever's not in the team at the moment can't complain. Young Connor come on at the weekend, so he's probably and made a real impact in the last game. So he's probably the only one that's got a reason to be disappointed with me not picking him.
There are obviously a few players out with injury. Louis McGrory not being able to get on the pitch. He looked rather frustrated, sat in the stands watching the performance. Do you feel that when those few players come back, Dan Bailey being left out, I'm not sure for what reason, but those players, do you feel when they come back they'll have an impact?
Hopefully. Dan Bailey's injured. Lewis McGraw is injured. He should be frustrated. He's been injured for God knows how long. You can't do anything about injuries. It happens at all levels of football, and unfortunately we've got too many. And like I say, I've put a lot of players on contract. I've shown a lot of faith and trust in them, and it's something that I've got to sort of assess if those contracts are the right decision for this football club, considering our financial constraints. So again, that's where I'll take blame. They're decisions I make, and essentially I live and abide up by my decisions.
I did forget to touch on that sort of 6th or 7th minute substitution with George Smith coming off for Mike Jones. Was that a tactical substitution, obviously because he gave away a free kick, which then they scored directly from? Was that an emotional substitution, a tactical substitution? What was your thoughts on that?
I didn't think he was good enough. I think he's unlucky as well, because I think I could have taken 3 or 4 of them off at that point. So I didn't think he was good enough in the opening 10 minutes, got back into it, and then free kicks cost us. But like I said to George, in there, normally things stay in there with me, and I wouldn't say stuff like this in front of a camera. But he was unlucky, and unfortunately today, I've made the substitution and we've got straight back into the game, so nobody can make complaints about that. I've got people on the bench. Mike Jones hasn't had a lot of football recently. He's come on the pitch, and we've got straight back into the game, and I feel we should go on and win the game of football from there, but we haven't.
I know you've mentioned before in our previous interview that, I can't remember exactly your quote, but something like a full summer doesn't make a swallow. I can't exactly remember.
Yeah. One swallow don't make a summer.
That's the one, sorry. But do you feel, obviously the last few games haven't been as bad as last season results-wise, obviously, apart a few 4-1s, it's normally being 2-1, 3-2, losing out by a goal, or a poor official moment or decision. Do you feel that the performances, as we mentioned last interview, are matching the results at the minute?
I'm relatively pleased with the performances to a point, but again, we can't forget the officials. We can't do anything about the officials. They're the same up and down the country. It's not officials' faults why we lose games of football. It's our faults, and that's who we've got to look at. Starting with me, and then secondly with the players. And as I touched on earlier, unfortunately, when we make mistakes, they get punished. When other teams make mistakes, we don't punish them, and that's what's got to start to happen. I thought Oxford City, we were excellent for the first away. We were excellent for the first 30 minutes, excellent for the last 30 minutes. But for those 15 minutes before and after half time, in between, we've conceded 3 goals. We seem to concede goals in clusters, which we've got to stop doing. We've not done that today, but one lapse of concentration and we lose a game of football.
Obviously, you mentioned teams punish us and we don't punish them with our chances. That could be completely seen as swings and roundabouts, and at some point that could fully turn in our favour and teams don't punish us and we go on to get 3 points most weeks. Is that something you're going to wait and see towards the end of the season, or do you feel that a change is needed tactically right this minute?
It's hard to work on tactically changing things that sort of your beliefs, your patterns of play and your systems and stuff like that, because we're not going to have a training session between now and St Albans. So that's essentially, like I said earlier, it comes down to sort of heart, fight, hunger, all those buzzwords are essentially to do with your attitude. It comes down to that, and yeah, that's about it really.
Cheers, Ian.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, Oliver.